April 27th, 2011, a single Wednesday afternoon.
Tornado behind us. This storm heading towards Smithville reports within the last 10 minutes of tornado damage. This is significant. You need to be in your tornado.
A single town of 942 people. 10 seconds of pure violence. "23 lives gone forever." But to understand how Smithville became one of the deadliest tornado disasters in Mississippi history, we have to rewind the clock. That year is etched into memory as one of the deadliest, most active tornado seasons on record. Hundreds of lives lost, thousands forever marked. Meteorologists observed troubling signs, aggressive atmospheric fronts, and unusual instability. On April 25th, the atmosphere burst open, unleashing wave after wave of violent storms across the South. They tore through the southern and eastern United States from Texas to New York. EF5, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Alabama. "64 dead." EF5, Hackleburg, Phil Campbell, Alabama.
All right, we're all right. We're all right. Okay, we gotta go.
72 dead. EF5, Philadelphia, Mississippi. Two dead. EF5, Rainsville, Alabama.
Please just go somewhere else. Please, God, just go.
Jay, Shauna, just wait.
Oh, Lord, Mama, please be okay.
God, man, get out of here!
24 dead. 368 tornadoes carved paths of destruction. Textbooks would later refer to it as the 2011 Super Outbreak. April 27th alone saw a record 224 tornadoes touch down. 4 of them were EF5, the highest rating on the enhanced Fujita scale. Smithville would be the third. At 3:42 p.m., less than 2 hours after an EF5 had already struck Philadelphia, Mississippi, a second monster formed. This time, it had a different target. How did it happen? It started like an ordinary Wednesday afternoon in northeast Mississippi. Smithville sat quiet, a town where everybody knew everybody. Farmers tended their fields, children played in yards shaded by old hardwood trees, but there was something hidden, something no one saw unfolding. 190 miles to the west, the sky was starting to stir. Meteorologists were on high alert, watching every signal. The Storm Prediction Center had issued a rare high risk for severe weather. By midday, particularly dangerous situation tornado watches covered much of Mississippi and Alabama. For a region that had already endured 2 days of deadly tornadoes, such warnings didn't sound like much. People were exhausted from living in constant survival mode. Unfortunately, familiarity dulls our instincts. A supercell thunderstorm formed along a thermal boundary in northeastern Mississippi, the same outflow boundary left behind by the morning squall line. The same boundary the Hackleburg tornado had developed on just hours earlier. Conditions were locally enhanced by easterly surface winds, creating a corridor of extreme tornado potential. 3:30 p.m., the National Weather Service issued a tornado warning for Monroe County. The countdown began. But in Smithville, many residents didn't have weather radios. Cable and satellite services were down from earlier storms. Some had no way to receive the warning at all. Then a 16-year-old named Johnny Parker stepped in. Johnny was an amateur meteorologist who had started a text-based warning system just months earlier, in September 2010. When he saw the tornado on radar, he sent a mass text to everyone on his list. The message was simple: get to a safe place now. For many in Smithville, it was the only warning they received. 3:42 p.m. The tornado touched down 3 miles west-southwest of Smithville along the Tennessee-Tombigbee Waterway near the Glover-Wilkins Lock. It snapped trees at the Smithville Recreation Area. Then, it rapidly intensified. The forward speed reached 60 to 70 miles per hour, a wedge of destruction charging directly at the town. 3:47 p.m. The tornado made landfall on Smithville's western side. The funnel was 3/4 of a mile wide, 1,320 yards of spinning fury. Winds reached 205 miles per hour, EF5, the highest rating possible. For comparison, a Formula One car hits that speed at full throttle. But here, no track, no driver, no finish line. Just pure, unimaginable destruction aimed at a town of less than 1,000 souls. What followed lasted only 10 seconds, but those 10 seconds changed everything. The tornado tore across Davis Road South, scouring the ground to a depth of 1 foot. Entire fields were stripped to bare earth. It swept northeast, following Mississippi Highway 25 straight through the heart of Smithville. Brick homes that had stood for generations were swept clean from their foundations, not just destroyed, erased. Foundation slabs were pulled up and dislodged. Plumbing was sheared away at ground level. Floor tiles were scoured. Even the sill plates, the very base of the buildings, were forcibly removed. Jimmy Cowley was driving his pickup truck on Highway 25 when the tornado hit. The windows exploded. The truck was lifted, rolled in midair, and dropped. He huddled inside, covering himself as best he could. Later, he would say it felt like burning, like fire, because the wind and mud were like a sand blaster hitting him. Cowley survived, battered and disoriented, but alive. Brick homes not 100 feet from where his truck landed were completely gone. Their occupants were not so fortunate. The town hall was gone. So were the police station, the post office, and 4 churches. Even the water system had been destroyed. The tornado achieved its maximum fury as it plowed through the eastern subdivision. A Ford Explorer was lofted half a mile into the air and slammed into the Smithville Water Tower, leaving a large dent that remains visible to this day. The SUV then bounced off and was hurled an additional 1/4 mile before crashing to the ground on the opposite side of town. Total distance traveled, 1,630 yards. A semi-truck was thrown 300 yards. An RV was hurled 250 yards and partially embedded in the ground. Metal twisted like foil. Trees were not just snapped, but completely debarked, their bark stripped away by the intense winds. In a nearby cemetery, granite tombstones were blown over in the opposite direction of the tornado's passage, evidence of a possible secondary vortex within the main funnel. A large funeral home, E.E. Pickles, was swept cleanly away, reduced to a bare concrete slab. The debris was scattered and windrowed into an adjacent wooded area. Had the building not been empty, the death toll would have been much higher. The storm still craved destruction. It crossed into Itawamba County, downing trees and power lines, before crossing the Alabama state line into Marion County. Near Scottsville, Alabama, it struck again at high-end EF3 intensity. More homes destroyed, 7 more lives taken. 4:23 p.m. The tornado finally dissipated near Hodges, Alabama, 41 minutes after it first touched down. Its path stretched 37.3 miles, but its deadliest work had been done in just 10 seconds. When the roar finally faded, an eerie silence fell over Smithville. Natural gas spewed from broken meters. The ground was moist like sponge cake. The 1 square mile that comprised Smithville's city limits looked like a war zone. Patty Parker had watched the tornado from Pecan Road. She'd missed it by seconds. She pulled over and sprinted toward her house in heels. All she could hear were her feet hitting the pavement and a panting she realized was her own. She ran past a man who'd crawled out of what was left of his pickup, dazed but alive. There was a point when the disaster exited the town, but not completely, because under the rubble, people were trapped. The death toll was still unknown. It was far too early to exhale. Hands were needed. First responders, doctors, volunteers, everyone. Help poured in from neighboring towns, from Amory, from Tupelo. Governor Haley Barbour visited days later, surveying the devastation.
The devastation here, the utter obliteration that has happened to this town is moving, eye-opening, and also makes us all committed to doing everything we can to be sure that this community comes back quickly.
The tornado had outlined Smithville on the map like a scar. 117 structures destroyed, 50 more damaged, more than 150 homes gone. Nearly every business wiped out, 137 people injured. Total damages, millions of dollars for a town that had never seen anything like this. But no number can account for the price of a life. 23 chairs sat empty at family tables, 16 in Smithville, 7 more in Alabama. This was the first EF5 tornado in Mississippi since the Candlestick Park tornado of March 3, 1966, 45 years earlier. And with the Philadelphia EF5 striking less than 2 hours before, April 27, 2011 became the first day in recorded history that 2 EF5 tornadoes struck Mississippi on the same day. It took everything Smithville had, but fate did not break this town. It stood back up. In the years that followed, homes were rebuilt. A new town hall rose from the rubble. The Smithville High School gymnasium was rebuilt as a large dome, designed to serve as a storm shelter for the entire community.
Here in Smithville, the people we spoke to take the weather seriously. This new gym behind me here has a concrete ceiling, and the principal here at Smithville School said it's where hundreds of people come to shelter during a storm.
The water tower, with its dent from the hurled SUV, still stands. A quiet reminder, a symbol of survival. Only the old photos, the sleepless nights, and the quiet memorials keep the pain alive. But so does the memory of quiet heroism. Carla Jones was 37 years old. She was babysitting her niece Emily Pearson, her nephew Josh, and her own son Austin when the tornado struck. When she realized the storm was coming, she did the only thing she could. She got on top of the children. The tornado took them all into its grip. All 3 children were critically injured, but they survived. Carla did not survive. She died protecting them. In May 2025, 14 years after the tornado, Emily Pearson walked across the stage at her high school graduation.
I mean, she's always there. She's watching. She's there. She sees us. I definitely say thank you to her for taking her own life to help us as kids.
She said that walking across the stage meant that God was never done with her journey. And even though she faced so many challenges growing up with the trauma from the tornado, she could accomplish so many more things than just being known as a person with a certain type of trauma. She thinks about her aunt every day. She is who she is because of Carla's sacrifice. Johnny Parker, the 16-year-old who sent the mass text warning, saved lives that day with a message typed on a phone. Many residents had no other way of knowing the tornado was coming. His warning system continued to operate for years, remaining crucial even during the 2023 tornadoes. In April 2024, 13 years after the storm, Smithville honored him in a way that would last forever. A street was named after Johnny Parker. The tornado took 23 lives, but it couldn't take what those lives meant. It couldn't take the courage of a woman who shielded children with her own body. It couldn't take the ingenuity of a teenager who refused to let his neighbors face the storm blind. It couldn't take human dignity. Every storm eventually ends, but the way we hold each other, that remains. Take care of one another.